In this video, we will examine the effective aperture calculation for the DE726 horn. We will also introduce a very simple relationship which will enable you to mentally calculate the gain at any frequency. The DE726 is our DAM's broadband reference horn, which operates over a frequency range from 700 MHz to 26 GHz. A special version may also be purchased which operates from the frequency range of 500 MHz to 30 GHz. As most of you already know, basic antenna theory teaches us that the directivity of an antenna is equal to 4 pi times the effective aperture area divided by the square of the wavelength. We also know that directivity is related to gain through efficiency. Thus, if we assume 100% efficiency, then we're actually dealing with the gain. Basic antenna theory also teaches us that the physical aperture is directly created by the physical extents of the antenna. In this case, the DE horn is 14 inches high by 14 inches wide by 14 inches long. This gives the horn a physical aperture which may differ from the actual effective aperture. In this video, we'll see just what those differences are. The effective aperture will generally be very much less than the physical aperture. We're going to go ahead and load the DE726 horn data from your advanced data directory. We're then going to open the simulator and the monitor plots and construct a schematic using the aperture icon. The aperture icon is an ideal aperture described by the mathematical formula shown here. In the icon, we'll go ahead and insert the physical units of the DE horn. The units, which are selected by the path loss module, are in meters, and that would be 0.35 meters by 0.35 meters. Next, we'll calculate the insertion gain for the aperture over frequency. When we do this, we see a very large insertion gain. The DE horn has a gain profile much less than the aperture gain. That gain profile ranges from about 5 or 6 dB to around 23 dB. We'll go ahead and hold on to this plot and reduce the aperture size to 0.1 meter by 0.1 meter and recalculate. When we do this, we see that the gain of a smaller aperture is approaching the gain of the DE horn. If we further reduce the aperture to 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters, then we find a very close fit to the DE horn. This demonstrates that the DE horn is in fact following the aperture profiles. The aperture for the DE horn is now established at 0.06 meters or 0.0036 meters squared. The effective aperture and the actual aperture form an aperture efficiency. If we calculate the aperture efficiency at 0.06 meters squared by 0.356 square meters, we arrive at 3.4% aperture efficiency. Now, let's insert the actual effective aperture and convert wavelength to frequency and work those constants out. Our result is 0.503 times the frequency in gigahertz squared. So the power gain is 0.503 times frequency in gigahertz squared. This is a very simple relationship to remember. If we wonder what the gain is at 10 gigahertz, it's 100 divided by 2, which equals 50. So if we take the 10 log of 50, we come up with about 17 dB. We can go back and test this on the monitor plot at 10 GHz, and we see the marker indicates 17.1 dB. So the relationship can be used in both a simulation and in the field. We hope this has demonstrated how the aperture icon can be employed to determine frequency response. And this concludes our video on effective aperture calculation. We hope it's been helpful. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email us or give us a call.